And that's interesting to keep in mind as well, that employers have that expectation that refugees will be coming in with a low language level. Whether or not that is true, we have to deal with that reality that that's an expectation. So that's just to give you an idea of some of the evidence. But anecdotally, we also know that one of the barriers that refugees standing of their status and their ability to work. So we know that there is confusion, not just among employers in the private sector, but among all Canadians, certainly in general, about whether refugees can actually work and what their legal status is in Canada. So it's really important to be communicating properly about not only the skill level that people are coming in with, but their ability to work from day one. So we know that resettled refugees, they come to Canada as permanent residents, which means they work and have many of the same rights as the rest of us. How refugees are different from other immigrant groups, like economic immigrants to Canada, for instance. We screen pretty heavily, and so we know that there's almost a skill level or a language level floor because we use the point system. With refugees, there is no such screening in terms of education level, in terms of skill level, so that just means that refugees really can represent any skill level. It would be a mistake to make that generalization, though, because we do know that very highly skilled people are forced to flee their countries for all types of reasons. There are also really dramatic differences between groups that have come to Canada over the years, and so it really depends on the country. For instance, the refugees who came from Indochina, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, from Laos, represent kind of overall again, there's a lot of diversity within that group, but it represented a different language level, for instance. There was not a lot of English spoken among that group of refugees who came to Canada. Versus other groups like the Ismailis from Uganda, who did come in with a higher level of English, for instance. So there are those types of differences among groups, but it really depends on the group coming in. So Syrian refugees, for instance, again, are an extremely diverse group. And you're going to get such a difference between someone who comes from a rural area of Syria versus someone who comes from a cosmopolitan area like Damascus, and who is very likely highly educated, skilled, previously employed, and is just been completely forced out of a very similar lifestyle to us because of the Civil War. So an interesting statistic about refugees, what we know is that they start businesses at a much lower